Imagine spending $80,000 on your dream work truck, only to realize 6 months later that you've made the biggest financial mistake of your life. That's exactly what's happening to thousands of Australian tradies right now in the vehicle they're all regretting. It might shock you. Stay with me, because what I'm about to reveal could save you from making the same costly error, whether you're in Sydney or Seattle. Welcome back to the Drive Intel, where we dig deep into the stories that mainstream automotive media won't touch. If you're new here and you value honest, no-nonsense vehicle insights that could save you thousands, hit that like button right now and subscribe. Because today's investigation is something every truck owner needs to hear. So here's what's happening down under, and trust me, it's a cautionary tale that applies to truck buyers everywhere. Australian tradespeople, the hardworking electricians, plumbers, builders, and contractors who've relied on tough, dependable vehicles for decades, are now selling off their nearly new trucks at alarming rates. We're talking about vehicles with less than 20,000 miles on them being dumped back into the used market, and their owners are taking massive financial hits just to get rid of them. The question everyone's asking is simple. Why? The vehicles at the center of this controversy are some of the most popular models that were supposed to revolutionize the workhorse truck market. We're talking about high-tech, feature-loaded modern trucks that promise to combine the durability of traditional work vehicles with cutting-edge technology and fuel efficiency. On paper, they looked perfect. In showrooms, they were stunning. But out in the real world, where tradies actually put these machines to work day after day, the story became very different. Let me paint you a picture of what actually happened. Meet Jack, a Sydney-based electrician who'd been driving the same reliable older model truck for nearly a decade. When it finally came time to upgrade, he walked into the dealership with high hopes and a healthy budget. The salesperson showed him the latest model, loaded with touchscreens, advanced driver assistance systems, turbocharged engines promising better fuel economy, and a price tag that made him wince. $80,000. But the salesperson assured him this was an investment in his business, a vehicle that would serve him for years to come, with lower running costs and higher resale value. 6 months later, Jack listed that same truck for sale, willing to take a $20,000 loss just to get out from under it. What went wrong? Well, the problem started almost immediately. The fancy turbocharged engine that promised amazing fuel economy. It delivered those numbers only on highways under ideal conditions. In real-world stop-and-go tradie work, crawling through suburbs, idling at job sites, the fuel consumption was actually worse than his old truck. But that was just the beginning. The sophisticated emission control systems, designed to meet increasingly strict environmental regulations, started causing issues. The diesel particulate filter kept clogging because Jack's typical work involved lots of short trips, exactly the kind of driving that these modern systems hate. He'd get warning lights on the dashboard, forcing him to take the truck to the dealer, where he'd lose half a day of work and cop a bill for hundreds of dollars just for a forced regeneration cycle. This happened not once, not twice, but almost monthly. Then there was the technology that was supposed to make his life easier. The massive touchscreen that controlled everything from climate to radio to vehicle settings looked impressive, but became a nightmare to use with dirty hands on a job site. Simple functions that used to take one button press now required navigating through multiple menu screens. And when that screen started glitching, which it did after just 4 months, suddenly he couldn't adjust basic functions in his own truck. But here's where it gets really interesting, and this is what the Drive Intel discovered after talking to dozens of affected owners. The reliability issues went far deeper than just inconvenient technology glitches. These modern trucks were experiencing fundamental mechanical problems that older, simpler models rarely saw. Transmission issues, turbocharger failures, sensor malfunctions that put the vehicle into limp mode, and electrical gremlins that would cost thousands to diagnose and repair. Now, you might be thinking this is just one unlucky owner's experience, but the data tells a much bigger story. When we analyzed used vehicle listings across Australia's major sales platforms, we found something striking. These particular truck models, which should have been holding their value given their young age and relatively low mileage, were appearing in massive numbers with desperate sellers slashing prices. The market was flooding with them, and the resale values were plummeting far faster than normal depreciation would explain. We reached out to mechanics who specialize in commercial vehicles, and what they told us was eye-opening. One mechanic in Melbourne, who's been working on trucks for over 30 years, said he's never seen anything like it. He told us that these modern trucks are coming in with problems that require specialized diagnostic equipment, proprietary software, and parts that cost 5 to 10 times what comparable parts cost on older models. A fuel injector that might have cost $300 on a previous generation truck now costs $1,500. A sensor failure that used to be a quick fix now requires replacing entire modules at massive expense. The warranty situation adds another layer to this disaster. Yes, these trucks come with warranties, but here's the catch that many buyers didn't realize. Commercial use, which is exactly what tradies do, often voids certain warranty provisions. Heavy loading, towing, extended idling, driving on construction sites, all the things a work truck is supposed to do, can give manufacturers grounds to deny warranty claims. And even when claims are approved, the time lost waiting for parts and service appointments means lost income for self-employed tradies who need their vehicles every single day. There's also a bigger economic picture here that's forcing these sales. Interest rates in Australia, like in many parts of the world, have been rising. Tradies who finance these expensive trucks are now facing higher monthly payments on vehicles that are worth far less than they owe. They're underwater on their loans, and the ongoing repair costs and reliability issues are pushing them to cut their losses and get out, even if it means taking a huge financial hit. What makes the situation particularly frustrating is that the trucks these tradies are replacing their failed modern vehicles with are often older models from 10 or 15 years ago. These simpler, less technologically advanced trucks are suddenly in high demand. Their values are actually increasing in some cases because everyone now knows they're more reliable, cheaper to fix, and actually designed for the kind of punishment that real work demands. There's a reason why you still see 20-year-old trucks on construction sites running strong while their modern counterparts are in the shop. Now let's talk about what this means for truck buyers, whether you're in Australia, America, or anywhere else. The lessons here are universal. First, understand that modern doesn't always mean better, especially when it comes to work vehicles. The automotive industry has been pushing technology and complexity at a rate that's outpacing reliability and real-world durability. Features that look great in a showroom don't always translate to practical benefits on the job. Second, consider your actual use case carefully. If you're doing genuine commercial work with lots of short trips, heavy loads, and tough conditions, some of these modern trucks with their complex emission systems and delicate electronics simply aren't designed for that reality, despite what the marketing says. The engineers optimize them for regulatory tests and ideal conditions, not for the brutal daily grind of real work. Third, and this is crucial, factor in the total cost of ownership, not just the purchase price. That includes fuel, which might not be as efficient as advertised, repairs and maintenance, which are skyrocketing on modern vehicles, and resale value, which can crater if reliability issues become widespread. An older, simpler truck that costs less upfront and holds its value better might actually be the smarter financial choice. Before I continue, I want to ask you something. Have you experienced anything like this with a modern vehicle? Whether it's a truck or any car where the technology and complexity created more problems than it solved? Drop your story in the comments below because I read every single one, and your experiences help other viewers make better decisions. And if you're finding this information valuable, hit that share button and send this to anyone you know who's considering buying a new truck. It could literally save them tens of thousands of dollars. Now, the Australian situation is also revealing something about the global automotive market that should concern everyone. Manufacturers are under enormous pressure to meet increasingly strict emissions and fuel economy regulations. To achieve this, they're adding layer upon layer of complex technology to engines and drivetrains. Turbochargers, high-pressure fuel injection systems, multiple catalytic converters, particulate filters, selective catalytic reduction systems with diesel exhaust fluid, the list goes on. Each of these systems is a potential failure point, and when they fail, they're expensive to fix. The shift toward lighter materials to improve fuel economy is another factor. Modern trucks use more aluminum and high-strength steel, which reduces weight but can also reduce durability in heavy-use scenarios. Panel damage that would have been a simple fix on an older steel truck now requires specialized repair techniques and costs far more. We spoke to body shop owners who confirmed that repair costs on modern trucks are sometimes double or triple what they were on older models. There's also the issue of planned obsolescence and repair monopolies. Modern vehicles are increasingly designed in ways that make independent repair difficult or impossible. Proprietary diagnostic systems, encrypted software, and parts pairing mean you often have to go to the dealer for repairs, where labor rates can be $200 an hour or more. This is great for manufacturer profits, but terrible for owners who are trying to keep operating costs manageable. What's really interesting is how this Australian situation mirrors patterns we're seeing globally. In the United States, there's growing frustration among commercial truck users about reliability and repair costs on newer models. Farm and ranch owners are holding on to older trucks and even buying up used ones because they can fix them themselves and they know they'll keep running. The same pattern is emerging in Canada, parts of Europe, and South America. The message is clear. The market is pushing back against overcomplicated vehicles that don't deliver on their promises. So what's the solution? For manufacturers, it means rethinking the approach to work vehicles. Maybe a truck that's going to spend its life on construction sites doesn't need a massive touchscreen and 50 electronic driver aids. Maybe prioritizing simplicity, durability, and repairability would actually serve the market better than chasing the latest tech trends. Some manufacturers are starting to recognize this. We're We're seeing a few models being introduced that deliberately scale back on complexity and focus on toughness and reliability. Time will tell if this becomes a broader trend. For buyers right now, the advice is to do serious research beyond the marketing materials. Talk to actual owners who've had the vehicle for at least a year and put real miles on it. Join online forums and social media groups where people discuss real-world experiences. Look at reliability data from independent sources, not just manufacturer claims. And seriously consider whether you need the latest model or if a slightly older proven design might actually serve you better. If you do decide to buy one of these modern trucks, protect yourself. Get an extended warranty if you're planning to keep it past the factory coverage, budget for higher maintenance costs, keep meticulous service records, and understand the specific maintenance requirements, especially for emission systems. Many of the expensive failures could potentially be avoided with proper maintenance, though that's an added cost and hassle that buyers often don't anticipate. The Australian tradie truck disaster is ultimately a story about the gap between what the industry is selling and what real users actually need. It's a reminder that more expensive doesn't mean better, that technology without reliability is worthless, and that the people who actually use these vehicles for demanding work have different priorities than someone buying a truck as a lifestyle statement. As we wrap up, I want you to think about this. The automotive industry is heading rapidly toward electrification, with even more complex technology and higher prices. If we're seeing these kinds of problems with current generation trucks, what does that mean for the even more technologically complex vehicles coming next? It's a question worth considering carefully, especially if your livelihood depends on your vehicle. Thank you so much for watching the Drive Intel. If this video opened your eyes to something you didn't know before, do me a favor and leave a comment with your biggest takeaway. Your engagement helps this channel reach more people who need this information. And don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next deep dive into the stories that matter to real vehicle owners. Until next time, drive smart, buy smarter, and never trust the hype over the facts.